All right, let's talk about earnings season. You know, that crazy, chaotic time that rolls around 4 times a year and can either make your month or completely wreck your portfolio. It is packed with opportunity, for sure, but that same volatility can just chew up even the best laid plans. So the big question is, how do you not just survive it, but actually use it to your advantage? Well, let's get into it.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the big trap that so many traders fall into. Then, we'll decode the 4 specific volatility patterns you've just got to see coming. After that, we dive into the good stuff, the solutions. We'll look at smarter ways to use stop losses, some other tools you can use instead, and finally, how to pull it all together into one smart, combined approach.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the earnings season trap. You know that feeling? When your go-to trading strategy, the one that works all year long, just suddenly stops working during these few weeks. Yeah, you are not alone. Let's really dig into why that keeps happening. I mean, has this ever happened to you? You've done your homework, you're feeling good about a trade, and then boom, some wild, out-of-nowhere price swing hits your stop loss, kicks you out of the trade, only for the stock to immediately reverse and rocket up in the exact direction you predicted. It is just the most frustrating thing in the world.
And here's the real kicker. The one tool that's supposed to protect you, your trusty stop loss, actually becomes your enemy. The price swings around an earnings release are so extreme, so unpredictable, that they can trigger these stops way too easily, turning what should have been a huge win into a really annoying loss. So if the stop loss is getting triggered, what's causing the chaos in the first place? Well, that brings us to our second section. You see, to beat the volatility, you first have to understand it. The source material breaks it down into 4 distinct patterns. And once you learn to spot them, everything starts to make a lot more sense. Pattern number 1 is the pre-earnings buildup. You see this in the days leading up to the announcement. Everyone's guessing, everyone's speculating, and all that anticipation just cranks up the tension in the market. This creates what we call rising implied volatility, which basically means you get these big, sharp price swings before any real news even comes out.
Next up, pattern number 2, the post-announcement gap. A lot of companies release their earnings after the market closes for the day, so all that initial reaction happens overnight. What this means is the stock can open the very next morning at a completely different price, literally gapping up or down, jumping right over the spot where your stop loss was sitting.
Now, pattern 3 is where things get really sneaky. We're talking about intraday reversals. You see, the market's first reaction is often a head fake. A stock might shoot up at the open because the earnings numbers look great, but then, an hour into the conference call, the CEO says something cautious about the future and whoosh, the stock completely reverses and dives. And the final pattern to watch for is those huge volume spikes. The number of shares changing hands can just go through the roof. Now, on the one hand, that's good. It means it's easy to get your orders filled. But on the other hand, all that volume is basically fuel for the fire. It makes every single price move faster, bigger, and way more intense.
Okay, so we've laid out the problems pretty clearly. Let's start talking about some solutions. For Section 3, we're going to focus on how you can take that classic stop loss and tweak it so it can actually handle the heat of earnings season.
One of the most straightforward tactics is to just give your trades more room to breathe. So if you normally set your stop loss at, say, 5%, during earnings season, you might need to widen that out to maybe 10 or even 12%. This just gives the stock enough space to do its wild dance without kicking you out of the trade prematurely.
But, and I can't stress this enough, this part is absolutely critical. You can't just widen your stop and call it a day. The rule is incredibly simple, but non-negotiable. If you give yourself a wider stop, you must trade a smaller position size. If you double your stop distance, you have to cut your position size in half. That's how you keep your actual dollar risk exactly the same.
Now, if you want a more dynamic way to do this, you can use a tool called the Average True Range, or ATR. All you really need to know is that ATR is an indicator that measures how volatile a stock has been recently. So by setting your stop based on the ATR, it automatically gets wider when things are choppy, like during earnings, and tighter when the market is calm. It basically adjusts itself.
And here's a really smart 2-step way to think about it. First, in the 24 to 48 hours before the earnings come out, you either widen your stop or maybe even take it off completely. Then, you wait. After the news hits and that initial wild reaction starts to die down, you can go back in and set a new, tighter stop based on where the price has settled.
But hey, what if you don't want to just rely on a stop loss at all?
In Section 4, let's look at a couple of other powerful ways traders manage their risk when things get this crazy.
One of the most popular alternatives is something called a protective put. Now, it's an option strategy, but don't let that scare you. The easiest way to think about it is like this. You're buying an insurance policy for your stock. You pay a little bit of money up front, that's the premium, and in return, you get a guarantee that you can sell your shares at a certain price no matter how far they fall. Your downside is completely capped. So let's just quickly compare these two ideas. On the one hand, you could just suspend your stop. The good news? It's free, and it definitely saves you from getting knocked out by one of those price gaps. The big downside? It takes incredible discipline, and you pretty much have to be glued to your screen. On the other hand, using an option like a put gives you a rock-solid safety net, a guaranteed exit price. The only catch is that it's not free. That insurance has a cost, and it's going to cut into your potential profits. And all of this brings us to our final and maybe most important section, the combined approach. Because as we've seen, every single one of these tools has pros and cons. The real secret isn't finding one magic bullet, but learning how to blend these strategies together. You know, there's a quote from the source material that just says it all perfectly. Neither earnings-focused trading nor stop-loss adjustments work well on their own. If you try to go into earnings season relying on just one of these tactics, you're probably setting yourself up for a tough time. This table really breaks it down nicely. If you just focus on analyzing the earnings report, yeah, you're making data-driven decisions, but you can never predict the market's emotional, often irrational reaction. If you just focus on your stop loss, you're protecting your money, but you're constantly at risk of getting shaken out of a good trade. The combined strategy, though, that's where you find the balance. It lets you be adaptive, balancing both risk and reward, even if it does take a little more thought.
So, at the end of the day, what's the big takeaway here? It's that you have to be flexible. You need to be a strategist, not just a rule follower. You've got to combine that fundamental research with smart, adaptive risk management. Think of it like a toolbox. You've got wider stops, you've got ATR, you've got options, and you need to pick the right tool for the job. And the good news is, as the source points out, a lot of modern platforms give you the tools to help model and refine these strategies on the fly.
So I'll leave you with this one last question to think about. When earnings season comes knocking, is your plan built around just reacting to the chaos as it unfolds? Or are you using these kinds of adaptive strategies to actually prepare for it? Because honestly, the difference between reacting and preparing, well, that can be everything.